Hello and welcome to another one of my videos. Now today I'd like to continue with part 2 and stay with the Czech Republic and take a look at some of their lunch and dinner components. So let's get these on a tray and see what they look and taste like. And welcome back to part 2 of this Czech Republic BDP menu 1 review. Now, to save a little bit of time, I've gone straight to getting the what I would consider the lunch components laid out on the tray. And for lunch it's very simplistic. I still have some light crisp bread crackers left from the breakfast, so I shall be having some more of those. We have a Ceylon tea with sugar, some salt on standby. We have one of the chocolate bars. We also have another one of the jams. This time this is the apricot. And for the mains, this is beef with rice, which I've had boiling in the tin. I've cracked the lid to avoid any sort of explosions. It's been 10 to 15 minutes boiling in a saucepan of water. So I only have one more cold drink left. There was only two. One was a vitamin drink from the breakfast meal, and I have one more which I'm going to have with the evening. So just for the refreshment of palate, I'm just having water this time, and with that I'm going to try one of these teas. So it's a Royal Assam Tea. I did say Ceylon tea, but it's a Royal Assam, so a nice looking tea there. So standard catering industrial style bag, sort of thing you get in hotels everywhere. And we'll just, once again, no whitener with this pack, just sugar. So I'll make it again how I like it. Without the whitener, I do prefer it a little bit sweeter, so I'll use the whole pack of sugar. It is only 5 grams, so it's not huge like some of the European ones. And again, just to give it its best chance, I'll give it about half to 3/4 of a mug, not a full mug. These little bags tend to be a bit small compared to the standard ones you buy. Okay, so a little over half a mug. Just do that a little move around there, and just leave it a couple of minutes to do its thing. So the next thing I'm going to look at is, again, these were seen in the breakfast. It's the light crisp breads. I still have a few left, so I'll save the other one for the evening meal. So just get a couple of those out, move them to one side. Moving around, there is 2 chocolate bars, so time to look at one of them. It does feel like it's all broken. When you've got tins in a box, it's inevitable that things like chocolate is going to get broken. So let's just see how this is. So nice little bricks, a little bit bloomed. So there are 6 little briquettes or bricks. We should have another look at this apricot jam. So I couldn't get the plum jam open from the breakfast. Let's see if this is any easier to open. No, extremely well sealed. There's no way that pack is going to split in transit. So just bring in my friend again. Just open that up there. So a regular looking sort of apricot style jam. Just wipe my knife. And last but not least, we're going to have a look at the beef with rice. Looks very much like the other European beef and groats, beef with rice, kasha, that style of dish. Now this, I find, is very hit and miss from country to country. Some countries do this exceptionally well, some countries do it very poorly, so this will be interesting to see. Very gelatinous, oh, very hot. Try and pour it out the tin there. Nice hearty 300 gram portion. Oh, flicking it everywhere there. I'll just break this up a little bit. So there's nice chunks of beef. It looks like the rice is very congealed, very thick. Let's break it up. very, very gloopy. Nice mix, but it's very, very lumpy. So let's give that a couple of minutes to break down a little bit, and I'm going to need to bring in another spoon because I've now got rice and beef all over it. So I'm going to just bring in the trusty old USMRE spoon, USMRE, to fish this tea bag out. Okay, so as always I'd like to start with the hot beverages. So the tea, so it's a medium looking dark tea, not dark as some I've seen. Very light, very refreshing, very much a typical English breakfast style sort of tea, the sort of things that you buy readily in the supermarkets. Doesn't seem it's the top brand quality, but it's also, it does seem it's the middle of the road. It's not the worst either. A nice, gentle, non-bitter, familiar taste of home. A little bit of milk or whitener would make that a perfect cup of tea for myself, but as it is in black, it's not a bad attempt. No cold drink this time, just water. So I'm going to go straight to the rice and beef. Very gloopy. You can see a lot of the rice is gelatinous. It's turning to clumps in the tin there. So I'll try and get some of the looser grained rice there with the beef already in. Nice and moist. Not overly fatty. A lot of these dishes, these European groats and beef and rice and beef, pearl barleys and beef, tend to be very, very fatty, very fat reliant. There is a high content, but not as much as usual. Try a little bit of the beef there. Very soft. Very, very highly stewed, sorry. Doesn't take a lot of chewing. There is texture to the beef. You still do need teeth. Without any teeth, it's very stringy, but it is soft. You don't need a lot of effort to eat it. Plenty of salt, plenty of pepper, very basic flavours. Still, I can feel the grease now. There is quite a lot of grease in there. Starting to feel greasy. The first mouthful didn't see it, but the rice, heavily overcooked. You can see formed in gelatinous lumps and clumps. Not a massive fan of this style of dish, but of the ones I've tasted over the ration, it's one of the more acceptable ones. Still very fatty, still very reliant on the grease from the beef. When I first started eating it, I couldn't taste that, but the more you eat, it starts to come back again. Obviously, the crackers would be a secondary bulking agent. Doesn't add any flavour. Crackers were seen in breakfast. Simple wheat flour, crisp breads. Not a lot you can really say about them. They're very nondescript in flavour, but in a way that is a good thing because it means it can go with the savoury or the sweet. So I'll just refresh my palate there. Moving along, we'll take a look at this apricot jam. So regular style looking jam, heavily set, a lot more set than what the plum jam was that I had for the breakfast in the other video. This one seems to be a little bit more set. Again, very sweet. Like the plum jam, it's very difficult to tell which actual fruit it is. It is more of a peach, more of an apricot sort of flavour, apricot peach style flavour, but it does taste like it's highly processed highly chemicalized. I don't know actually how much fruit would be in there. I suppose I couldn't read the ingredients, but it doesn't seem like it's pure fruit and sugar. There is other things going on in there, but let's try a little bit on the cracker. Yeah, great base, just to make a little bit of sweetness, something to have after the grease of the main rice and beef. Does go well, good combination as before. Let's go back onto the tea, refreshing my palate, and I'll take a look at some of this chocolate now. 6 little simple squares, bloomed on the top, nice, easy to crack, quite soft, dark chocolate. Doesn't say anything on the packet really about the content. Try and see if it mentions the, it says 53%, that must be the cocoa content. So I was just going to say it's around about the 50% cocoa mark. It does say 53%. Nice, it's soft, melts on the tongue, coats the tongue, nice, flavoursome, decent dark chocolate, 50% chocolate, and I've said in all my videos, for me 50 to 60% makes a nice mix between sweet and bitter, and this is a nice sweet chocolate. So first meal, lunch, a little bit disappointed in the fact that again the rice and the beef, and if you watch my videos now you know I'm not a fan of this style, purely because of the sheer amount of oil and grease that comes in there. The rice, the groats, the pearl barley just soak up that fat, and it just makes it a very fatty, greasy meal. But that says, of the ones I've tried, it is one of the better ones. I've tried some truly awful. That isn't truly awful. It's just not my particular sort of dish I enjoy. So I'm going to leave this meal here. Overall satisfactory, and come back and join me in a few seconds when I take a look at the dinner or evening meal components. So bye for now. See you in a minute. And welcome back to this third and final meal, or the evening or dinner component of this Czech Republic ration. And for the final meal I'm going to take a look at their beverage base powder, the new corn crisp breads with fibre. I've got the mains, which is pork goulash with potato. We also have the last of the jams, strawberry jam. I have a salt on standby, and there is also a packet of sterilised mixed vegetables. Now, as always, I've had the vegetables and the mains heating. They've been boiling for 10-12 minutes. So I'm going to start where I like to start. No tea, no coffee. I've already sampled those. So I'm going to start with this drinks powder. Now, unusual, it's actually for a whole litre. That's the largest drinks powder I've ever come across. Normally the 350 mils, 200 mils, or even half a litre, but this is the first where the whole pack is designed for a 1 litre canteen. So I've got to be careful how much I put in. Obviously, small glass, just under half of the powder, so don't make it too strong. Let's try and judge approximately just under half. So give it about that. That feels roughly about there. So let's put the rest to one side. So it's a nice fine looking sugary powder there. So I'll just cold water just to make up, and I will give it a glass, full glass, and a good mix. Just taking time to mix there. Okay, use that spoon. Now we're going to have a look at the other corn crisp bread with fibre. So you get plenty of crisp breads. There are 2 packets of crisp breads. First was a plain wheat crisp bread. This is the corn crisp bread. As always, very flaky. Just take out a couple of packs there. There is 6. A couple of pieces rather. I think I'm going to now open the vegetables. Now this is sterilised vegetables, so whatever sterilised mean, I did see it contains vinegar, so sweet and sour vinegar. So I'm hoping, just bring a little dish to pour those into. I've done the right thing by heating them up. It's very difficult to tell, there's no instructions as to eat them hot or cold, so where I come from, mixed vegetables are normally eaten hot. So I think I've done the right thing. It does just look like a bag of mixed vegetables, but I can smell vinegar, so that's very unusual for my taste, but mixed veg. Now I'm going to try and open the last jam, the strawberry jam. Not going to have it. None of these jams opened easily, they're all well sealed, so bringing my friend one last time. There's no way of these little jams are going to split in the bag, so it's a very set looking jam there. And again, just wipe the knife. And last but not least, we'll have a look at this pork goulash with potatoes. Once again, very hot, been boiling for some time. Just bring another dish there just so I can pour it out. Just makes it a nice demonstration on a white background, and also it's easier for the cleanup. So, got my hands there. I think I'm going to start with the drinks. Well, I usually like to start. Now this was designed to make up a litre. I might have put too much powder in, let's see. I think I put too much powder in there. It is an artificial orange flavoured drink. You can taste the chemicals, you can taste the electrolytes in there. Isn't a natural tasting orange. It is a typical sort of MRE style artificial flavoured lemon drink, but that said, it is refreshing. It's not too bad tasting, so not a bad attempt at a cool drink there. Now it's difficult to know where to go. I think I'm going to go straight to the mains this time. So this is the pork goulash with potatoes. As the name suggests, I can see chunks of pork and little cubes of potatoes. So, let's see if I can lift it a little bit closer to the camera. It's still a bit hot. So let's try a little bit of the pork first, go straight for the meat. Nice and soft, nice and tender. Breaks apart in your mouth. Has meat texture, but only just very, very highly stewed. The gravy is like, I think it's tomato based gravy. Enough pepper, just salted enough. Potatoes, very soft, very, very soft potatoes. A little bit overcooked, bordering on mushy, but just about managing to stay together in little cubes. But it is a nice, tasty, enjoyable dish. The juice there is a tomato based juice, but it has formed a nice gravy, nice enjoyable mains dish there. Obviously, to go with that, you were meant to go with the vegetables. Now I'm just going to try the vegetables on their own first, just to see. Basic mixed vegetables: carrots, peas, sweet corn. Strange combination. It is sweet and sour. There is the salt there, but there's also sugar and vinegar. That said, it's a new experience for me for vegetables, but it's not unpleasant. It's just a new way of cooking them. Obviously, I think what you would do is normally drain off the liquid and add to the goulash. Now, the vegetables are slightly just cooked. The peas are softer than the sweet corn. The sweet corn's a little bit firm. There is some texture still in there. Just an unusual flavour with that combination of the sweet and sour. So obviously I've mixed them all together now. made more like a stew with the vegetables. I think what I should have done is just poured the water off and emptied the can straight into the goulash. So a little bit of the whole combination. Looks more like a good stew or a very thick soup now. There's still that little bit of vinegar flavour from the vegetables, but it is now a much more stew-like or Western style stew that we're used to, with a mixture of meat and vegetables. Nice and tasty. Let's have a look at this crisp bread. So this is the corn crisp bread with fibre, so nice and firm snap. Does seem to hold together a little bit more in your mouth. The wheat one just dissolved and just disintegrated. This does actually seem to stay together a little bit longer, but very little taste, very little flavour. Very difficult to tell the difference, from my opinion, between the corn and the plain wheat flour. So just try a little bit with the gravy there. As expected. Certainly does no harm, and it's a good way of bulking out the main meal. Finally, I'll just give my spoon a rinse there. Just have a look at this jam. Again, it seems to have resealed itself. It's a medium set jam, a little bit firmer than the last one, very much like the apricot jam, or the plum jam, sorry, I had in the breakfast side. So it's a little bit softer than the apricot, just like before. Very heavy on the sugar. There is a slight taste of strawberry. There is also something else going on in there. These are not just fruit and sugar jams. There is other things in there, there's gelling agents, but it's still a good tasting jam, just not 100% natural. We'll have a little bit of jam onto the cracker. Just like before, those crisp breads are just the thing for making a sort of sweet pudding. A little bit of jam and bread, jam and cracker. I do think the jam goes slightly better with the corn than the wheat flour, but there's very little difference. A good all-round background cracker. Let's clean my palate. So, once again, an enjoyable meal. Nothing there that I didn't like. A new taste, sweet and sour vegetables, but certainly not unpleasant. There is one or two little accessories left. There is an extra tea, an extra coffee, and one more chocolate bar, a few sugars, but that is the entire contents. Looking back, none of the meals were that big, and they did seem to go down very quickly, so whether this pack would actually sustain a hungry soldier for a full 24 hours, this BDP1, I'm not sure. Being an ex-forces man, and many years ago, I think 3 of these meals and the amount of energy I expend in the forces, I think I'd find myself a little hungry after 24 hours, but it would certainly fill your belly at the time and just about do the job. So, I'm going to leave it here. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification button for future videos coming very soon. So thank you and goodbye.